Alright everyone, now that Apple has updated their laptop line as recently as summer of 2012, now might be the best time to be out on the market for a new laptop. And you can do that without any fear that they're going to come out with something new because they've already released their newest products. So today I'm going to be talking about most of the Mac lineup. I'm going to be talking about 4 laptops. The MacBook Air, which is not pictured. However, I did have 8 months of experience owning an Air. The 13-inch MacBook Pro. And this is my friend's MacBook Pro that I'm borrowing for this video. The 15-inch MacBook Pro. And this is my personal MacBook Pro that I've had for about 3 or 4 months now. And over here at the end, the MacBook Pro with retina display. Now, before any of you guys just go off in the comments, I just want to say that I do not intend to keep this Retina MacBook Pro. It's a very nice machine, yet at the same time, I pretty much only bought it for the purposes of this review. So I'm going to play with it for about a week or so, maybe 2 weeks, and then just bring it back to the store because there are a couple reasons why I'm not keeping this laptop. So let's start off with the MacBook Air, which is not pictured over here. Now, the MacBook Air is it's Apple's mainstream laptop. And if you want to use it as a Facebooking machine, you know, watching YouTube, or if you're a college student, I think the MacBook Air is perfect for college students. And the reason why I say that is because it's very light. It's less than 3 pounds. It has more than enough power. It has a hyper-threaded dual-core processor. It comes with USB 3. You can expand it with a Thunderbolt port. So really, for mainstream stuff, the MacBook Air is a really good value. The things that we're going to get in trouble with it is you can't really upgrade it. I mean, you can upgrade the SSD, but to do that, it's going to be a little more expensive because it's on a special stick. And right now, the only place where you can get that upgrade is through OWC. So, upgrading the MacBook Air is pretty much, it's going to be expensive or next to impossible. And the other thing too is that the current model only tops out with 8 GB of RAM. So if you think you're going to be pushing the machine in any way, if you want to be doing Photoshop or Illustrator, any of the Apple apps or any of the Adobe Pro apps, you may want to reconsider not getting the Air, because really that's Apple's mainstream laptop for everyday consumers. Next, we come up with the MacBook Pro 13-inch. And the 13-inch is a rather interesting machine. It doesn't exactly have all the horsepower required for pro-level work, yet at the same time, it is a really versatile laptop. It comes in the same 13-inch form factor as the MacBook Air. It's not as thin, of course, but it shouldn't be as thin. And the thing about this laptop is you have more upgrade possibilities to it. You can put in up to 16 GB of RAM in the 13-inch MacBook Pro. You can get you can put a standard SSD in there. So if you want to upgrade to a 256 or 512 SSD, you can do it, and it'll be cheaper because it uses standard size SSDs. And you know, it still comes with a CD drive on the side, as well as your usual array of ports. So you won't need to buy Thunderbolt adapters or Firewire adapters or things of that nature because you have the ports built right in. So if you're talking about performance too, it is actually a fairly good performer. I compared the benchmarks on the 13-inch Pro versus the 15-inch, and in pretty much all processor intensive stuff, it kind of ties the 15-inch quad-core MacBook Pro. So it does have a higher clock speed. It can turbo boost to like 3.6 gigahertz. And you do have more expandability options. So honestly, I like the 13-inch form factor the most. And between the Air and the 13-inch and the 15-inch laptop, I personally would go for the 13-inch MacBook Pro. Now we come over to the middle here, and we have the 15-inch MacBook Pros, the Retina display, and the standard 15-inch. So the standard 15-inch Pro has a lot of good things going for it. If you need unrestricted horsepower, if you need the graphics, if you need 16 gigs of RAM, you want to be able to upgrade your hard drive, and you need the fastest quad-core Intel processors, the 15-inch standard MacBook Pro is the way to go. And it has really the best value proposition to it. So with the 15-inch Pro, you can upgrade the hard drive, you can upgrade the RAM, and it's a machine that'll be able to grow with you. And just like the 13-inch MacBook Pro, it comes with a standard array of ports, gigabit Ethernet, Firewire 800, Thunderbolt, and so forth. So the 15-inch is really geared for professionals, and professional users can really grow with this thing. And the big difference between this one and the 13-inch is the GPU. The GPU is really outstanding on the Pro compared to the integrated graphics that you're going to get on the 13-inch MacBook Pro. So really, if you need quad-core processors and a discrete GPU, get this. If you can get by on an integrated processor, and if you can live on the dual-core CPU, then get the 13-inch Pro. So that's the main difference. Really heavy stuff, you get the 15-inch Pro. If you're doing medium-sized work and you're not really going to be hung up on the graphics on the GPU, then you get the 13-inch. So we'll slide that one back to the side now. And this is the new luxury machine from Apple, the 15-inch MacBook Pro. So, the way that they made this machine fast is that they decided to go with an all-flash architecture. I tend to think of this as a larger version of the MacBook Air. I kind of think of it as a 15-inch MacBook Air. But the one advantage to the 15-inch Retina is that it does have the quad-core processor. It does have an NVIDIA graphics chip with 1 GB of video memory. But they made some compromises which I don't exactly like. The RAM is soldered onto the motherboard just like the Air, so you're not going to be able to upgrade the RAM. The SSD is a proprietary SSD, and again, you can only buy that SSD from Mac Sales or OWC, so it's going to be an expensive upgrade path if you want to get more flash storage into the machine. And you're kind of restricted, so you have to choose either between 8 GB of onboard memory or 16 gigs of memory. And when you check out the machine, I would strongly advise getting 16 gigs of RAM, just because 64-bit applications will chew through your memory, and if you really want to use it for pro level work, 16 gigs of memory, you're probably going to be using it. So it is a very fast machine. It does, it does what it does, and you're paying a premium for the display. Now later on in the week, I'm going to do some comparisons between the standard 15-inch and the Retina 15-inch. But basically, you're paying about $150 to a $200 premium on the display when you look at comparable machines. So, and it does feel rather ridiculous. When I walked out of the store this evening and I saw the bill, it was like $2,300. $2,300 after tax. And that's for the baseline computer. And these days, walking out with a laptop that costs $2,300 is just kind of ridiculous. I mean, honestly. It's a nice display, but really, and it's a nice design. It's about a pound lighter than the standard 15-inch Pro, but at the same time, you're going to feel that sticker shock affecting your wallet when you walk out of the store. And all I can say is that, like, when you carry this thing, you kind of think, wow, this costs $2,300. And I think Apple could have given you more aside from the display for that $2,300. I think there are some design decisions that really limit what it can do. I think they should have made certain things upgradable. I think the body, the chassis could be thicker. I would take a thicker chassis for upgradable hard drives and upgradable RAM. I really don't care how thin my laptop is. I care about how much power I can put into it and how many years I can make it grow with me in the future. So I would easily sacrifice 1/4 of an inch to have my laptop be upgradable. So those are my thoughts on the Retina MacBook Pro. So that's basically it. MacBook Air. It's good for college students, good for mainstream users. If you want to use it for YouTube and Facebooking, so be it. The 13-inch MacBook Pro, if you're doing intermediate stuff, if you're not going to be using it as a pro level machine, but you need some extra horsepower to kick you through, then I would get the 13-inch MacBook Pro. And it's also great because you can upgrade it. As I said, you can upgrade to an SSD, you can upgrade the memory, so get the 13-inch Pro for expandability. The 15-inch standard MacBook Pro, powerhouse. If you need all the power you can get the 15-inch MacBook Pro. There are no compromises on it, so that's what I would advise. And the Retina MacBook Pro here, it's more like a luxury item during this day and age. Prices will certainly drop. Give it about a year or two and this will be your standard laptop, and the industry will catch up to it, so it's going to be price competitive. But as for now, I would say it's not necessity. It's not a necessity. So anyways, those are just my quick thoughts on buying a Mac, and I hope you have that's buying a Mac. Alright, that's about it. Peace.